Welcome to Kickin It in the Kitchen, a series by the Catalyze podcast. I'm your host, Aadya Gattu from the class of 28. This series explores the how, why, and what behind the Morehead-Cain Summer Enrichment Program. Over the course of 4 years, scholars progress through outdoor leadership, civic collaboration, global perspective, and professional experience. These metamorphic summers are designed to help students develop leadership skills, increase self-awareness, and develop their understanding of the world. In this episode, we speak with Prince Rivers from the class of 28 about his Civic Collaboration Summer. In the Civic Collaboration Summer, teams of scholars embed themselves in cities across North America to investigate community challenges and propose real solutions. Prince, thank you so much for being here today. I'd love to just start with you telling us a bit about yourself, where you're from, what you study.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for having me. My name is Prince Rivers. I'm from Durham, North Carolina, and I'm a philosophy major.
Nice. Can you tell me a bit about what you're involved with on campus? You're a sophomore, so, been here a minute.
Mm-hmm. I think that my favorite thing on campus, and something that I didn't anticipate when I was coming into college, was joining the radio station. So I'm a radio DJ. I have a show every week, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12. You can tune in. My DJ name is DJ Biscuit. I'm also on the UNC Intercollegiate Ethics Bowl team. So it's like a debate-like competition, but more ethics focused. And we compete against other schools. I'm also involved with the Carolina Diplomacy Fellows program. Yeah.
Shout out DJ Biscuit. Can you describe your Civic Collaboration Summer a bit? Which organization did you work with?
So we worked with the Ally Foundation, and specifically their MKE Fellows program, their Milwaukee Fellows program. So just to give a little bit of context, Milwaukee has, like many American cities, like a pretty racialized history. And Milwaukee suffers from a lot of segregation. When I was kind of before my summer, and when we were talking to the leaders at the organization leading up to the summer, they told us like multiple times, Milwaukee is like one of the most segregated cities in America, if not the most segregated city in America. And, unfortunately, that leads to a lot of disparities in like educational outcomes. And so what the Ally Foundation tries to do through their Milwaukee Fellows program is identify young men of color who are talented, high potential students, and they guide them throughout the college application process as they pursue career opportunities, with the goal that they will then come back to Milwaukee and further support the community.
Yeah. That's awesome. A huge part of civic collaboration is for scholars to become comfortable with ambiguity in a project and learn how to tackle with what we call a dilemma through a human-centered design process. So I'd love for you to talk about what your team's initial assigned dilemma was and maybe how that progressed when you arrived to Milwaukee.
Yeah. So our dilemma, like you said, it was like pretty ambiguous. It wasn't super clear, but it was kind of focused around the recent changes to college admissions policies and DEI policies. And so we were kind of what they said is like, these are kind of new changes, and we've like seen some impacts, but we don't know fully how they're going to impact us. And so it was a lot about like looking at how things are changing within the career landscape, within the educational landscape, and seeing what we can do to mitigate the negative impacts that those changes are having. So seeing what the Ally Foundation can do to help their students like navigate that uncertainty.
Yeah. What was your initial reaction to your dilemma?
I was really excited about the dilemma. I mean, as a young man of color myself, I thought it was super cool to be able to like work with an organization that was helping people who looked like me. And so I thought it was also like super pertinent. These are like really significant political issues that are affecting people like right now. And it's going to be tricky to sort of navigate that. And so I enjoyed the opportunity to like learn more about the issue and like also contribute to addressing the issue.
Yeah. And I'm also curious, what was your reaction to being assigned the city of Milwaukee? Like, did you know anything about it before?
Yeah, Milwaukee. I remember I opened the email and I saw Milwaukee, and it was like a very neutral reaction. Like I was like, okay, Milwaukee. Yeah. But I definitely didn't know anything about Milwaukee. I'd never been to the Midwest before. I don't think I really knew anybody from Milwaukee. I don't think my parents have been to Milwaukee. So I was like, okay.
Sensing a theme here.
Yeah. But, like over the next few weeks, I would like tell people like, I'm going to be in Milwaukee for the summer. And there were a few people who like maybe had lived in Milwaukee or just like had experience. And they're like, oh, Milwaukee's a good city, and they were always like, oh, but it's really cold. And so I was definitely like glad to be going in the summertime. Yeah. And it's also like on a lake. It's on Lake Michigan. Really? Yeah.
Not geographically inclined.
Yeah. So there's like a beach area and stuff. And so I saw this stuff. But in the email, they have a link to the city's like tourism page.
Yes, I remember that.
And so I click on the link and I click on the thing that says what to do in Milwaukee. And it says beer and cheese curds. And so I say, okay, one of those I'm not old enough to do. And the second is cheese curds. So, I mean, I'll try them. A common
activity.
I'll try them, but I don't know how that's going to fill my summer. But I was happy to get Milwaukee, and I was happy with the group that I was assigned with.
Yeah, I remember that feeling of neutrality because I was in Albuquerque this summer, assigned as well, and I was like, okay, Albuquerque, okay, cool. But yeah, I think everyone ends up growing to love where they end up.
Yeah.
I'm curious how your team tackled the first few weeks. Again, for some context, we kind of labeled these first few weeks as like an exploratory mode because it's super ambiguous. So I'd love to hear about how your team tackled that.
Yeah. So I remember when we first, the night we got there, it was like probably like 11 p.m. On the drive up, we had stopped in Chicago.
Did you all drive up together?
We all drove up. We drove up simultaneously.
Okay.
But we end up getting there at like night. So we get into our neighborhood and we can't really see anything. So I don't know what to expect. And then we wake up the next morning and we go outside and it's like 55 degrees and rainy.
So they weren't lying.
And I was like, I thought it was supposed to be summertime. I'm coming from Chapel Hill where it was like 80 degrees and warm. And so I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. But a couple of days later, our first day of work, we were driving in and it was completely sunny. It was, I don't know, 60, 70 degrees. And we drive like past the lake every day on our day to work, on our way to work. And I look out and the lake looks beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's not a cloud in the sky. It's just like really beautiful.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Milwaukee, I didn't expect this, but this is great. And so we go in. We kind of meet in person for the first time, the organization, the people who work at the organization that we're going to be working with. And we kind of revisit the dilemmas that we've been assigned. And they gave they were very hands off. They were like, we appreciate you guys being here. And we know that you guys are capable.
Yeah.
And so it was very much like us talking to them, trying to figure out the best way that we could serve them. And then also additionally, it was a lot of studying the history of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So there were several hours the first few days where we would all do deep dives into different aspects of Milwaukee's history.
What was your aspect?
And then share. I think mine was just kind of general history, the timeline of the city.
Yeah.
And other people did maybe educational history. And so, I learned about how Milwaukee is a Rust Belt city.
Okay.
And so during the late 1900s experienced a lot of deindustrialization, which really, really hurt the city. And they experienced a really large population decline, which definitely explains, some of the challenges that the city is facing now.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting to me because I had no clue. I never envisioned that there were American cities, several American cities where the population had declined since like the 60s.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
well, I only know like Pittsburgh, but I didn't know that was Milwaukee too.
Yeah, Milwaukee, definitely. And so, studying Milwaukee's history and then interviewing the organizational leaders to understand just like different aspects of the organization. It was just a lot of asking questions to like different people. So like even when we weren't at work, we would, talk to just like random people, in like restaurants and stuff about, their thoughts on Milwaukee, different, things that they knew about Milwaukee's history. But there was definitely a focus on Milwaukee's educational history and trying to like understand what the Milwaukee educational landscape looks like to like inform inform our thinking, because it was a very education focused project.
Yeah. I just remember when I got there, I felt this anxiety that I couldn't do anything because I'm just this random person in a random city. Can you talk about if you felt that, how you kind of mitigated that?
Yeah, I definitely like experienced that. I remember, and I'm sure like every city is like that, but feeling like Milwaukee has such a complicated history.
Yeah, what am I gonna do?
The folks at our organization, they had a lot of trust in us.
Yeah.
And they like shared like different parts of Milwaukee that they enjoyed with us. So that, recommending like summer events and like restaurants, things to do, things like that. And so like kind of being embraced by, into the Milwaukee community by them helped me feel like, okay, I don't know everything about Milwaukee. And also if I put in the time to like learn and invest in the city, then I don't necessarily have to feel out of place. Doing what I can to like lend a helping hand.
Yeah, I really like the way you explained that. That's kind of how I felt by the end. Can you just talk to me a bit about how the project progressed? Like at what point did you feel like you had an understanding and started to move into like a solutionizing mindset?
Yeah, it was a lot of talking to folks, superintendents, nonprofit leaders, even like business leaders, to try to understand like their perspective on the source of like the disparities. And it seemed like a lot of what it was is just like it makes sense. It's just like there's like differently resourced schools. And so what we did is we looked at the programming that our organization provides to the fellows that they're supporting. And we said, okay, what can we do so that the fellows that they're supporting are on equal footing with those with like students in Milwaukee who can afford like private education or like a private college application tutor.
Yeah. So what did your deliverable end up being?
Yeah. So ours was a strategic plan that was informed by not only the interviews we had with leaders in the community, but also like students we interviewed who were like either had gone through the college application process or like were about to go through the college application process. So like students, if they had already gone through the college application process, we had them like reflect on challenges and ways in which they could have been supported. And then for students who are about to go, like thinking about like their anxieties. So one thing we did, the MCN is run by a company called...
That's the Morehead-Cain network.
Is run by a company called HiveBright. And we got in contact with HiveBright and we got a deal with them to set up a similar platform for that organization at like a slightly like reduced fee. So I think that's super cool. And then we also developed like a programming series for students starting when they become fellows in their junior year of high school, mainly leading up to leading up to when they enter college, so that they know exactly, like they have a vision of like the college application process timeline, what they need to do and when, and then also supporting them before they go to college so that they can have an understanding of like what to do when they enter college, because college
Yeah.
can be like, even when you get to college, it can be really daunting, like knowing how to navigate it.
Yeah, 100%. Outside of work, I want to hear some stories from you in your house. Can you share one of your favorite outside of work stories from your housemates and you?
The most fun thing that we did outside of work was Summerfest. And it was really funny because whenever I would ask people, you know, before going to Milwaukee, like what was there to do, they'd be like, oh, have you heard of Summerfest? And then when we got to Milwaukee, we told people, oh yeah, like we're in Milwaukee for the summer. Like, are you going to Summerfest? Our first day of work, our boss was meeting with somebody from the Boys and Girls Club in Milwaukee, and he introduced us. And the guy whipped out Summerfest tickets and was like, here's Summerfest tickets. Like,
wait, that's
we're
awesome.
Going to Summerfest.
Can you tell us what Summerfest is?
So Summerfest is, they say it's like the biggest music festival in the United States or the world. So it's over the course of 3 weeks. It's 4 days each weekend. It's like Thursday through Sunday. I think it starts in like July, or maybe late June. But it's just like a really big music festival with all sorts of artists. And it's really fun. It's very intergenerational. Like everybody goes, you know, with their families, and there's all sorts of like fun food stalls, and they had like a skateboarding show there. There was a lot going on. It was fun though.
That's awesome. Okay, and I think my last question for you is, what's the greatest lesson you learned from your Civic Collaboration summer?
For me, it was like the interviews. When we were interviewing folks, people cared that we cared. Yeah. And so I think that it was like super cool for me to see that like my investment in like an issue that is impacting people, like people care about. Yes. And so 100%. I think that like going forward, I guess when I'm thinking about whether it's just like interpersonal relationships or like work in general, like doing the work to like invest the time in other people is not like a wasted thing. Yes. And people do really care about that. Yeah, I think it helps you define your place in the world a bit more too. That's beautiful. Definitely. You're gonna go back to Milwaukee ever? I'll definitely be back. Next Summerfest? Okay, well, thank you so much for being here, Prince. And thank you for listening to Kickin It in the Kitchen, a series by the Catalyze podcast. I'm your host, Aadya Gattu from the class of 28, and that was Prince Rivers from the class of 28. You can learn more about the Morehead-Cain Summer Enrichment Program on our website at moreheadcain.org. This episode was recorded at the Morehead-Cain Foundation at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. You can watch all of our Kickin It in the Kitchen videos on YouTube at Morehead-Cain, and if you prefer to listen, you can find all our Catalyze podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. You can let us know what you thought of this episode by emailing us at communications@moreheadcain.org or by finding us on any social media at Morehead-Cain. Thanks for listening.